Welcome to the latest GSC Grays podcast. Today we will be seeking the advice of two of our most prominent branch managers who are going to talk to you about the impact of the budget on the residential agency market. Tim Leonard from our Barnard Castle office and Lizzie Tate from here in Richmond. Starting with you, Tim, what do you see as the positives that have come out of the announcements made at the latest budget compared to the fears that seem to be around in the market at the moment, and how do they really compare?
Well, I think to start off with, we must say that we were surprised, or I was surprised, that they didn't attack the property market even more. I think that when we look at what they've done, which was basically increased stamp duty on second purchases from 3 to 5%, and then when we look at what else they did, which was not a lot huge, really, I think the biggest effect on the market is going to be the fact that they've raised between 40 and 50 billion to help sort of the economy, which will have a knock-on effect on inflation. And how will that then affect interest rate levels moving forward? I think there is rate reductions coming, but I don't think they're going to come as thick and fast. But the positive is that there are rate reductions coming, in my view, moving forward.
So what are the positives that come out of that then?
Well, the cost of borrowing is going to get cheaper. I don't think that that's going to really come through a little bit more until possibly February or March time, but I do think borrowing is going to come down, and I think that's what everybody's looking for. The only thing is, I think that people have got to get used to what is the new norm, and the new norm is higher rates than 1.5%. I think that if you look at history on interest rate levels, the average for the period of time is about 5%, and we're well below that. So the positive is we are below what is the average rate for interest rate levels in the UK.
And getting lower by the sounds of it, although maybe not quite at the speed that we'd all hoped.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're looking around your area and you're meeting people at pitches, doing valuations on houses, what sort of concerns are you getting from them?
I think that uncertainty, or now we have certainty because of the budget, the uncertainty of what was the budget meant people were sitting on their hands. Of course, if you've got fears, what do you do in the property market? And people do nothing. Now they know what this budget means for them. They can now move forward. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're leading up to Christmas. So that sort of tends to, put things on hold a little bit longer. But I already have a number of clients who are looking to come to the market in January, February and spring ready, because they now know what they want to do based on what's happening in the budget.
Yeah, so its decisions have probably been made by the sounds of it, but we're now back to normal market conditions, which is why go to the market just before Christmas when my house will look better in the early spring and summer.
With a bit of colour on the photographs,
I get that.
etc. Yeah.
And Lizzie, how does it affect your market? Any differently from that in North Yorkshire compared to County Durham?
No, I think it's been a massive fear of the unknown, and people always just sit and decide to do nothing, or they ask us tons of questions and ask for our crystal balls, which obviously none of us have. The key thing is confidence. And one thing that I always put forward to vendors is the fact that if there are people all sitting on their hands, there is a lack of good quality stock coming to the market. There's always going to be buyers from maybe outside the area who are looking for something, and there's a reason to move regardless of what the general market is doing, even if it's, a peak or it's not as buoyant. So if you've got a reason to move, there's always going to be somebody out there. There might not be the volume that we saw in 22, but you are going to still have somebody there for your house, because that's something that we've definitely seen in the last few weeks. Is since the budget, and even on the run up to the budget, we were quite surprised. There was a lull of market appraisals, people looking to sell their houses in September, but on those few sort of crucial weeks running up to it, people started to think, well, actually, why am I waiting? What am I waiting for? It was the same in 23. And we actually ended up seeing similar levels of market appraisals, exchanges in those last 2 years, when arguably the media's been telling everybody that the market's not brilliant, almost don't do anything.
What we've also seen, and I think Lizzie will have seen the same thing, is that in September, October and November, we saw activity as in viewings down. Viewing numbers were down, but the sort of numbers of sales that we were agreeing were up. Yeah. So it means that the people who are actually going out there are buying. There is a shortage of stock out there at the moment.
And how do you see that affecting values going forward? Do you think there's going to be specific areas where property prices are likely to continue to creep up, or do you think there are areas which are likely to stay static or even fall in the coming months?
It's the same old saying, location, location, location. The ones that are in accessible areas that, commuters can get to, or desirable spots in, areas of outstanding natural beauty, then they're always going to hold their value. And the fewer of them that there are, then, it's supply and demand balance all over again.
We may see some effect on prices in areas where they've overbuilt. There are masses of estates going into some of the towns around here, and that might cause some of the flattening of the market. But on the whole, supply and demand every time.
It's arguably the same thing right now. If somebody's got a motivation to move, yes, your garden might not look as pretty, but actually those that are coming to the market now, we've launched some beautiful properties, but we're still getting really good prices, which is surprising given, again, what the media's been saying as a general whole. Those few that have been coming on the market have been doing quite well because your serious buyers are looking and there's very little choice.
So still no bargains to be had in the right villages. It's always a problem, isn't it?
Sadly not.
No, but I think that one of the things is you've got to be in contact with your local agent, because your local agent knows what the market's doing. If you read one paper on a Monday, it'll tell you doom and gloom. If you read a different paper the next day, it'll tell you that property prices are going to go up by 20%.
Lizzie, what advice would you give prospective sellers over the coming months then, given what we've just talked about?
Get prepared. Make sure that the house is how you want it to be seen. And, this year, we had quite a sort of poor, wet spring, which delayed some properties coming to the market. But if you can be as ready to go as you possibly can, if you decide to make that move, always being one step ahead, I think holds people at an advantage. Don't put your life on hold. Speak to an agent, like you've just said. Get the local insight of what's really going on. They might have somebody there that's perfect, that fits the bill, and it could save you a lot of hassle.
Yeah. No, I think, funny enough, what I've been hearing a lot is particularly the way we're marketing properties now and putting so much emphasis on how we present them, how they look, getting professional photography, getting good videography done, and taking a different angle on how properties are presented. It seems to me that there's absolutely no reason why one can't do this just as well in the wintertime, when a lot of our properties are just as spectacular, whether it's the fires lit, tables laid for Christmas, snow on the ground. It's beautiful. And if you get that right, there's no reason why you should wait for the summer.
No. And I think, having the video footage that we now capture on properties, there's all the things, particularly when a vendor speaks about the different seasons that they see, and the different angles that the house offers at different points of the year. There's no reason why that atmosphere and things can't be shown just as well when the leaves aren't on the trees and the fire's on, like you say. Beautiful big dining rooms and all of those aspects of a house can look just as fabulous under a lamplight as they can with the sun.
As I said, keep in contact with your agent, and as soon as they say now's the right time, because they'll know what's going on a weekly basis, activity, what's coming in terms of applicant inquiries. I've got 6 people who've rung this week who all want to buy a house at 650,000. I've got something to come to the market. Now's the right time. So keep that communication.
Okay. Finally, for you, Tim, having asked Lizzie about sellers, what advice would you be giving buyers going into the new market, starting tomorrow by the sounds of it, but over the next 6 months? What specifically do you think buyers should be looking out for?
We're hugely proud of the fact that we keep in contact with our buyers as much as our sellers. When we're ringing you, when we've sent a property to you, tell us what's right about it, what's wrong about it, or book to come and view it. Have your funding ready. Have all your solicitors ready. So when you find that right property, you're ready to move.
Well, thank you very much, both of you, for those insights into the market. It's not as scary as some people might think. There is a market. We need more stock for the buyers who are out there. That's the positive message, isn't it? Thank you very much. Well, if you have any specific questions relating to the property market, or would like to find out about your own property, please get in contact with your local office, details of which will follow.